as demand concerns offset Libya's supply risk. On the program, we shall be taking a look at the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar, your guide. Let's bring you up to speed with business development. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has highlighted the need for sustained reforms in governance and business regulation to boost Nigeria's economic output. IMF resident representative for Nigeria, Dr. Christian Ibeke, gave the advice at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry International Business Conference and Expo 2024 Invest Nigeria. He says Nigeria should sustain ongoing economic reforms for the country to get better and achieve the desired economic growth that will lift the majority of citizens out of poverty. The multilateral institution also urged the federal government to address governance and business regulation bottlenecks to grow the economy at the 5 to 8 percentage points annually. He said the IMF believed that Nigeria's economy was currently turning the corner, but warned that the country must sustain the bold reforms. According to him, reforms in governance and business regulations can lift Nigeria's output by 6.4% in the next 3 years. Nigeria's cocoa export rose by 304% in the first quarter of 2024 due to higher demand and naira depreciation, according to data from the National Bureau of Statistics. The country's cocoa exports, which accounted for 42.4% of the 1.04 trillion agricultural exports for the period, surged to 438.7 billion naira in the first quarter of 2024 from 108.6 billion naira in the corresponding period of 2023. Cocoa prices surged by over 567% in the first quarter of 2024 and were sold above 12 million naira per metric ton for the first time in the country, as the worst deficit supply in decades from Ivory Coast and Ghana, two major commodity suppliers, disrupted global supply. The price rally caused Nigerian farmers to begin reviving old cocoa plantations and plant more high-yielding seedlings to replace old and unproductive trees while expanding their growing areas. Now, the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority says it has facilitated the production of 90 million NPK fertilizers for farmers through the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative. That the number of fertilizer blending plants in Nigeria had grown from 4 to more than 80, courtesy of the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, PFI. This roundtable provided platform for stakeholders to assess the impact of the PFI on boosting local fertilizer production and distribution, as well as enhancing agricultural productivity across the country. With food inflation rates exceeding 30% and widespread concerns about food security, the discussions focus on how the initiative can be further strengthened to stabilize food prices and ensure sustainable agricultural growth.
To date, the PFI has facilitated the production of a staggering 90 million bags of NPK fertilizer. Through this program, we have witnessed a revival of our domestic fertilizer blending plants, an increase in the diversity of products available to our farmers.
As an association, we believe that maximizing cost efficiency will reap benefits of reducing transaction costs with no risks and ultimately reduce the price of the blended fertilizer.
Fertilizers lead to the production of wholesome foods.
This is part of efforts being made to ensure the sustainability of the program beyond government support by fostering private sector involvement. In Abuja. And now to our discussion segment. The Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, PFI, is a cardinal pillar of the country's agricultural transformation drive. The initiative is to strengthen the economy by saving over $200 million in foreign exchange, creating more than 100,000 direct and indirect jobs, and generating annual fiscal savings of over 60 billion naira through the elimination of fertilizer subsidies and more. Now, to discuss this and more with us is Abubakar Sadiq Asim, President, Fertilizer Producers and Suppliers Association of Nigeria, FEPSAN. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much, Musa. I'm glad to be here and really feel privileged.
Okay, beautiful. Well, from our intro, it says that the idea of the fertilizer, part of the idea of the fertilizer, Presidential Fertilizer Initiative is to create to create direct and indirect jobs. Has that been achieved at this moment?
Yes, very much so. When the PFI started in 2016, December, there were only 5 blending plants. Those 5 were actually operating at about 20% operating capacity. Today, registered under the PFI are about 83 blending plants. Each of these blending plants is operating at almost 70% capacity. We have actually been able to produce fertilizers required by the Nigerian farmer, the NPK fertilizers required by the Nigerian farmer. And when you look at also what has been improved and expanded in the production of urea, it is during the tenure of this PFI that Dangote started and commissioned its fertilizer blending plant. Today, it has added about 3 million tons of urea production. We have seen Indorama also doubling their capacity to about 3 million tons, and also just recently signing to start a third line, which would add another 1.5 billion. So as far as Nigeria is concerned, in terms of urea, we are already a net exporter. In terms of NPK, we are meeting the requirement of the nation.
So you are saying that we have achieved self-sufficiency when it comes to fertilizer production?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, but there are arguments
our next target is actually to start exporting NPK to the rest of West Africa and probably some other parts of the African continent.
Okay, but does the 83 blending plant reflect the true state of the fertilizer industry?
Yes, it does. In terms of spread, we are spread across the 6 geopolitical zones. In terms of concentration, yes, some regions that are considered, like for instance, the Northwest, that are considered agrarian, have the largest concentration of fertilizer blenders. And we have them in the North Central, we have a few in the Northeast, despite the crisis and the security challenges. We have them operating also out of the Northeast. As far as spread is concerned, we are doing very well. In terms of volume, we're only limited as it is today by the constraints of availability of some of the raw materials that have to be imported. And this constraint is not only just about the logistics of them arriving on time, but probably also the issue of volatility of the foreign exchange.
But there's some argument in some quarters that a lot of these blending plants are not actually operating to full capacity. And there's allegation of raw materials being sold out there.
Well, as far as I am concerned, as the president of FEPSAN, we know that there is a Fertilizer Control Act. We know that there is a regulator for the industry. We also are working hand in hand with the National Center for Counterterrorism, which has also some oversight functions on these issues of diversion of the raw material. So the Office of National Security Advisor, because as you recall, sometime last year in August, Mr. President declared emergency on food security, which brought about issue of food security under the ambit of the total security architecture of the country. So the Office of the National Security Advisor has got some oversight. Yes, we've got some issues of some miscreants within the industry diverting raw material and selling it, but that is also being tackled by.
Go on.
Yeah, so like I said, the regulators and the security agencies are already on top of that, and I'm sure they are doing their job. Internally, as an association, we are also working with the Agro Dealers Association to tell us who is selling what in the market so that we can use our own internal mechanisms to sanction those deviant operators.
Okay, another thing is the issue of affordability. We've been able to achieve self-sustenance, but the issue of affordability is one thing. Fertilizer in the open market out there goes for around 40 to more than that. I mean, 40,000 to more than that. And most farmers are not smiling with this particular situation. Can you give us a picture what actually, how are we not able, or how have we not been able to achieve the issue of, make it affordable to the farmers? I know when the program, the initiative started in 2016, fertilizer was around 5,500, but it's not the case today.
Yes, thank you very much again, Musa. Fertilizer was 5,500 in 2017, when the dollar was about 190 naira to the dollar. Today, what is the rate of the dollar? So for those imported components or raw materials, there is an increase in the cost. And then coupled with also some other macroeconomic things that have happened in the country, cost of transportation has increased, and that would definitely affect prices. But as an association and working together with the relevant partners in the PFI, we've managed to identify some hidden costs. These hidden costs, we're trying as much as possible this year to make sure that we remove them to increase the efficiency of the program, such that at the end of the day, whatever saving is done would be passed on to the farmer. I'm sure we have seen some reductions that have happened lately because in spite of the change in the dollar, it's still something that we're working with, especially with partners in the PFI and also with the farmer associations. Now, I'm not going to say why, for instance, the farmers have been actually selling things also and making a profit. When we looked at the return on investment for the average farmer, if he's able to produce, he makes an average of about 150% if he's able to produce. So I'm a practitioner, by the way, and I have seen a situation where maybe pad producers today, they don't even ask what is the price of fertilizer, because they know whatever it is the price of fertilizer, when they produce and they sell their paddy, they are able to make a return and also go back to the farm again the next season.
Okay, there's also issue of environmental sustainability when it comes to the issue of chemical fertilizer. How have you been able to collaborate with those agencies of government that regulate environmental matters?
As far as the environment is concerned, yes, we're working together with the regulator for the fertilizer industry today, that's FACE. We are also working with the Nigerian Institute of Soil Science, that is the regulator for the sustainability of the soils that give us the nourishment that there are a lot of programs by us as an association and by some of our members in terms of soil studies and soil remediation all over the country that are ongoing. We're looking at recently also looking at how do we partner with those people who are into organic fertilizers, so that we can also complement each other and save the environment.
Okay, briefly, how do you plan to sustain this particular initiative? And what should we
That's
expect?
very good. That's the best of the situation. PFI has been on for the last 8 years. We believe that times have changed, and there is a need to now relook at the whole thing and reshape it to achieve the objectives of today, without forgetting the fact that the Nigerian farmer must be given quality and affordable fertilizer at the right time that he needs. So we're working with the partners again to look at how do we roll out a program and an initiative supported by government to be able to achieve these objectives by 2025.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you very much, Abubakar Sadiq Asim, President, Fertilizer Producers and Suppliers Association of Nigeria. It's a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you
It's been
very
a
much.
pleasure
It's
having
my pleasure too.
Okay. Now let's head to commodities market, where gold pressured by stronger dollar with Nvidia and US data in focus. Let's see how other commodities capital market, where Euro markets climb as investors weigh global stock outlook, chemicals, insurance stocks rise. Let's join Moplan Dakok for updates. Over to you, Moplan.
Thank you, Musa. Investors are looking to clues on the outlook for stocks globally this Wednesday. In Europe, markets were mostly higher, with major regional bourses and sectors trading in the green. Germany's DAX appreciated by 0.80%. The CAC 40 of France also went up 0.49%, while FTSE was down by 0.15% to close at 8,333.25 basis points. Asian markets were mixed as investors assessed Australia's July inflation numbers, which came in higher than expected. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index shared 1.02% and closed at 17,692.45 basis points. The Shanghai Composite went down 0.40%, while the Nikkei 225 of Japan appreciated by 0.22% to close at 38,371.76 basis points. In the U.S., investors waited for Nvidia's quarterly earnings announcement. S&P 500 futures were marginally lower at 0.10%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average also was down by 0.07%, and the same thing we're seeing for the Nasdaq Composite, which was also down by 0.18%. African markets also traded mixed in midweek trade. Tunisia's Tune Index and Ghana's GSE Africa Top 40 appreciated, while South Africa, Namibia, and Kenya were negative. That's it on the global scene. It's back to you, Musa.
Thank you, Wuplan, for those figures. Now, how much is the Naira exchanging for the currencies? Let's find out. The Representatives Committee on Solid Minerals is conversing support for the proposal to allocate 10% of revenue from the mining sector for the development of host communities. This was during the members' oversight visit to mining sites in Kogi State, while they also advocated for fair pricing of cement by manufacturers. National Assembly correspondent Mitayo Ikpen reports.
Lawmakers continue investigation into the arbitrary increase in cement price with this visit to Kogi State, where they are first received by the deputy governor.
Any company or an individual that wants to mine the mineral resources, the solid mineral we have in Kogi State, must come and reside with us in Kogi State.
There must be a new regime in environmental remediation so that these holes that have been dug can be covered and our people go back to farming because we're agrarian by nature.
Next port of call was the Dangote cement plant and mining sites at Obajana and Oyoiwa, where limestone, a critical resource for cement production, is being excavated in millions of metric tons.
The scale of mining going on here at this site in Oworo in Kogi State said to be about 40 feet deep. It's one of the reasons why the House Committee on Solid Minerals is concerned about the environmental impact on surrounding communities.
At an interactive session, the lawmakers insist on rational pricing of cement, considering that the raw materials are sourced locally.
We want the input ratio for production of 1 bag of cement.
If you are getting the raw materials, all the raw materials in Nigeria, I don't think anything justifies that high price of cement. You saw the size of the equipment. A man was looking like a dwarf compared to the tire of it.
All mining equipment consume diesel. We don't use electricity. From bulldozers to payloaders to dump trucks, they are consuming diesel.
We will probably mine over 20 trillion naira out of this budget. If something like this is done in a community of this nature, that would take proof. We shouldn't be looking for microscope to look at, to see your impact in the community.
Give us empowerment, empower the youths. It's enough for them.
The committee emphasizes that it is not on a witch hunt, but seeks fair pricing of cement to promote affordable housing for Nigerians. From Obajana in Kogi State, Mitaire Ikpe, NTA News.
Well, that's it. Business Express returns Thursday at 9:30 a.m. I'm Musa Abubakar. Enjoy the rest of your day.